Here we are live again. Everybody, welcome to our Thursday night live stream. Thanks for joining me. Again, I'm Tristan Emond with Mindful Living Realty here in Rapid City, South Dakota. And today we're going to continue on with our South Dakota versus series. And today we're on South Dakota versus Iowa. So to join me, I've got a KW agent in the Quad Cities, Mr. Alex Skeen.
How's
Welcome.
it
Thanks so
going?
much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about who you are and how you are in your real estate industry world and how things going for you.
Sure. Well, first off, thank you so much for allowing me to come on here, talk to some of your people. But yeah, my name's Alex Skeen. I'm in the Quad Cities, which is in eastern Iowa. As far as what I know about real estate, I got into it literally the last day of the testing center being open before COVID hit. So that was a good thing. I was really happy that I passed. So
Yeah.
that was March of 2020. In a previous life, I was a mechanical engineer. I worked for a company that made aluminum for like SpaceX, rockets, Tesla, Ford F-150s. We made it all. So went from that, did it for a year, did both for a year, and then ended up going full-time real estate. So ever since then, I've been doing this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congrats for jumping right on this YouTube thing. I mean, it's been a good thing. So congrats.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
and of course, I want to make sure that everybody understand. I introduce myself as well because you can use this video for your YouTube channel. My name is Tristan Emond with Mindful Living. As I have stated, I am here in Rapid City, South Dakota. We actually I started in real estate in 2006, so I've been doing this for a little bit of time. In about 2010, I had my wife join me, and we had basically came up with the Emond team. And then in about 2016, my wife and I looked at each other and said, you know what, we can do this ourselves. So we started our own brokerage, Mindful Living Realty, and that's the best decision we've ever made. And ever since then, we've been running right along and doing our thing and doing whatever the hell we wanted. So
Yeah.
it's been kind of a great thing to be a realtor here the past 5 years, especially. We've really kind of enjoyed it. So. But let's get into our topic now today, South Dakota versus Iowa. First of all, let's talk about Iowa in our state specifically. And so just kind of go through maybe like the cities and the landscaping and everything else of Iowa. And I'll kind of maybe guide them with some people with the mouse a little bit as we go through it. So
For sure. So luckily for you, I've actually lived all over Iowa. I kind of break it down into three different sections. You have Western Iowa, you got Central Iowa, and then you got Eastern Iowa. Western Iowa, there's kind of a unique landscape there. Everybody talks about Iowa being completely flat. That's not true at all. There's a race for bikes that goes across Iowa, and you can ask anybody that rides that race, it's not flat. But in Western Iowa, they have what they call the Luss Hills. It's kind of a unique feature. There's only two places in the world that have it. It's Western Iowa and in China. So It's very hilly there. Kind of similar to the Black Hills, to be honest. Not as big, but it's still, that kind of a feature. Central Iowa, that's where I'd say most of the cornfields, what you typically think is Iowa, that's where most of that's going to be, including Eastern Iowa. Right in the center is our capital of Des Moines.
Des Moines.
Des Moines, whatever you want to call it. Now, the proper pronunciation is Des Moines, even though it looks like Des Moines. That is the central hub, the biggest city in Iowa with all of its suburbs and all of that. Very centrally located. You can see it. Maybe it could be a little further north, but it's very centrally located. So that's Central Iowa, and then Eastern Iowa, which is where I'm at right now. It does have a lot of cornfields. It has a lot of stuff going on like that, but I describe Eastern Iowa as a lot more industrial. So a lot more manufacturing facilities. You're getting closer to that Chicago area, so it's a lot more of that going on. The one thing I don't like about this side is there's not as much outdoors area where I grew up in Western Iowa. You could get out on the public lands. You wouldn't see anybody for miles. It's much more populated on the Eastern Iowa side, and I think it comes down to the jobs are just more abundant with the manufacturing and all that.
That makes sense.
So yeah, that's Iowa in a nutshell. I've lived in all three of those. Like I said, grew up in Western, went to college in the middle at Ames, Iowa State, alumni there. And then obviously I've been in Eastern Iowa for about 6 years now.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I actually grew up right here in Tyler, Minnesota, which is pretty much right there.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of I know what it's like, kind of in that part of the state.
Yep.
And then previously, I also did some work where I spent some time in Ames and some
nice.
kind of different some places. We've gone there a few times. And then my wife was born in Dyersville.
Oh, nice. Field of Dreams.
So they actually have kind of a little story there, because obviously that's where the cornfield is with what's the name of the movie again?
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, right? The movie Field of Dreams.
Yep.
And it's kind of the cool story is that when they were making that movie, they asked for a lot of locals to be in that at the end where there's a line of cars going with headlights going to the place. Her grandfather is in one of those cars. So
really.
We're famous. Yeah, not really. But anyway, that's just kind of a cool little story about
It's actually kind of cool. I don't know if you knew this or not, but they've actually built a bigger stadium there, and they actually hold real MLB games there.
Yeah, didn't they have one this year? I thought I noticed. Yeah.
This was the second one. They had one 2021, and then this year it was originally supposed to be 2020, and we know what happened there. So
things happened, of course.
Yeah.
So South Dakota is also a tale of two, in our case, mostly two sides. You've got the river that separates West River and East River, and it's kind of night and day. Well, not night and day, but it's considerably different from one side to the other. On the east side, with the largest city is Sioux Falls, and it's kind of like you as well. On the east side, there's a lot more business, a lot more manufacturing, a lot more of that stuff going on the east side, and a lot more flat. And this is where you see a lot more of the farms, cornfields, the fields, the sunflower fields, kind of going up over this way. As you cross the river here, you get into West South Dakota. Get to a lot more of the Badlands and the hills and a lot more ranch style properties. Less farming because it's a lot more breaks and that kind of thing going on. So in Rapid City, of course, right next to the Black Hills, which is really the main reason why a lot of people are in the Rapid City area. We've got tourism. Of course, agriculture is the number one in the entire state, but tourism is a pretty big draw for us here in the Black Hills. So, and then we've kind of got one of those deals where our capital is Pierre, not Pierre. It is Pierre.
Yeah.
So
my dad used to go fishing
rundown of our state.
Yeah, me and my dad used to go fishing in Pierre when I was really little. So.
Oh yeah, that Oahe Dam. They've got some pretty good fishing. I was actually there. We were fishing one time there with some other guys. It was a really hot day. We just sat there and fished all day. We got quite a few fish, but man, that was a hot day.
For sure.
Big hot day. All right. So always the next thing that's usually on people's minds, since we are in the north, is the weather. So let's talk about Iowa weather and how that is impacting people here in Iowa.
For sure. Well, Iowa weather, we have all 4 seasons, which can be good, can be bad, depends on your point of view.
Yep.
Springtime, get a lot of rain, kind of cold, can snow, can be really hot, just kind of depends on the day.
Yep.
You probably understand how that goes. During the summer, we have super hot, humid, and I hate it. I don't like summer. Some people would argue with me on that one, but I can't stand it. I don't like humidity. A lot of the humidity actually comes from our cornfields emitting so much liquid up into the air. People don't really think about it, but they are putting a lot of moisture in the air, and that's where we get all that humidity. So yeah, we can see temperatures, up in the hundreds, 105s even. So definitely get the heat. Fall time, we get the colors, and we're heading into fall right now. My favorite time of year. It's pretty cold in the morning, warms up in the afternoon. So you do have to prepare as far as your clothing goes. I actually just had a conversation about this with a gentleman yesterday about how he hates having to change his outfit from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And then winter, we get I'd say probably on average 2 or 3 feet of snow a year, roughly. We do get some cold temperatures. When we had that polar vortex, I think you guys got affected by that too. We saw temperatures in the -40s.
Yeah.
No, that's not typical, but it is something that we did
exists.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I didn't mention, in the springtime, we do have tornadoes. Some people get freaked out by it. Honestly, I've grown up in Iowa. I've been in Iowa my whole life, 30 years, never seen a tornado. Kind of crazy to think about. Not that I haven't seen the devastation that a tornado has happened, but I've never actually physically seen a tornado. I remember when I was in high school, a small town called Mapleton actually got hit by a tornado, and me and a bunch of other people went up there and helped them clean up. And the one thing that really stuck in my head is how powerful these things are. Is there was an RV in a tree just hanging out.
Yeah.
I was like,
crazy.
How did that happen? So yeah, we get the severe weather. That really does happen mostly in the fall or in the spring, but it does happen occasionally summer and fall. So you have to be aware, know what the sirens are doing and all of that. So.
Yep. And as you can imagine, South Dakota is kind of really considerably similar, especially eastern South Dakota, especially with the humidity. We on the west side of the state, for some reason, are a lot drier. We don't have the humidity as the east side, so we get 100 degrees, but we're only up, 20-30% humidity, which feels like nothing compared to your, 80% humidity or whatever it is. So it's a lot more pleasant here. And then at night, cools down 70 degrees during the summer, and I can actually sit outside and enjoy the deck without, a lot of humidity. I assume then with the humidity comes bugs and mosquitoes, because I know there were mosquitoes heavy in eastern South Dakota times.
Oh yeah, no, we get them. I wouldn't say they're as big as like down in Louisiana or something, but we definitely get a lot of those. The biggest thing in eastern Iowa, since I live right on the Mississippi River, is we get mayflies. I don't know if you've ever seen those or heard about them.
Yeah, so we were staying along when we stayed as a family in Vermilion along Lewis and Clark Lake, which is between South Dakota and Nebraska, right Iowa's right over here. And we have that for whatever reason, the mayflies were out and just covering.
Yep.
Yeah, it was not a fun experience.
It is crazy. Like, so for people that don't know, mayfly, their life cycle is basically one day. They hatch, they do what they need to do, and then they die at night. So a lot of times, or not a lot of times, but once in a while, they'll get so many that they will fall on the bridges and stuff, and it will be like ice because you're running over all the insects.
Weird. Really? And wow.
They will take snowplows and push them off because sometimes they get that bad. So it's definitely something I wasn't used to. That's only in eastern Iowa that I see that, and I think it's just because of the river. But yeah, that is something that we deal with as far as like the insect pressure and all that. So
yeah, some years we'll have bad grasshopper years and bad bug years, that kind of thing. But fortunately, over here we don't have as many mosquitoes and gnats. But there was one year I remember it was like all of a sudden they were like everywhere. I'm like, what's with this? But yeah, of course, every year is a little different as far as how much wet we get. 2019 we had a really, really wet year, so there was a lot of standing water, and of course that brings mosquitoes up. So yeah. So
there's one thing that you'd mentioned that I thought was kind of interesting. So I have a lot of family living around there, Chadron, Nebraska, and then I do have some family in Rapid. So I visit there, and the thing about the humidity is such a unique thing because you guys get cooled off at night, where here the humidity keeps the heat in, and it's always going to be really, really hot out. Looks like you might have missed me here.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
All right, let me see here. Oh, there it goes.
I'm back again.
All right.
I'm wondering if it's my side, because last time I did this, I had a dropout every once in a while too. So I might have to try to make a change in that somehow. But other than that, the main in South Dakota, we've got, of course, the 4 seasons as well. But things can change. I mean, the sweater today, because we woke up today, it was 35, 39. And rainy, and it rained like that all day. But it's supposed to be 65 and sunny on Saturday. Yeah. So it's just the way things go here. Spearfish has the fastest temperature change in a matter of 2 minutes. They went like 40 or 50 degrees. So it's just crazy the different kind of weather patterns we can get.
Do you guys have the saying, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes?
Yeah, wait 3 minutes. Yeah.
Well, you're a little quicker. We wait 5 minutes.
Exactly. And we do enjoy I do enjoy the spring when things coming back out, but sometimes it could be, May before we're starting to really get into warmer temperatures, and then it kind of rains a lot in June. So sometimes we don't really start seeing summer until July. And then then in September, things usually have great Septembers that are nice and warm, but it's starting to cool off, and then October can be anything from snow to 80 degrees. So you just never kind of know. That's why, I even have a jacket in my car as well. So you have to have all your different layers just to make sure you keep those up. So
I can actually speak to that piece of it. I have my cousins that live there in Rapid, and they got married in the state lodge what's that? Custer. Yeah. And we went to go there in October. They thought it'd be safe. We got caught in a blizzard, and we about died 3 times. And I'm not kidding. It was that close on the interstate. It was scary. So
there's not a lot between after Chamberlain and Rapid City. There's not a lot there, So
nope, not at all.
I spent a winter along the interstate with my mother-in-law in the Belvedere Rest area. She never lets me forget about that. Oh, the fun. And as far as severe weather is concerned, that's most important is that east side does get the tornadoes. As you get into the plains, tornadoes are a concern. And then hail, of course, is our biggest thing here in the Black Hills. You have to make sure you have good hail insurance because you're going to use it. But actually, I've heard this year from an insurance agent that it's actually the east side of the state actually had more claims this year than the west side. So they obviously get some hail over there as well. So just things you got to get used to, understand that it happens. But, life goes on. So
for sure.
All right, let's get into cost of living. Gas just went up 30 cents today. It's now $3.99. It was like $3.69 yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was. It's just I been driving by today. I'm like, what's up with that? Where are you guys at?
So I actually looked at this closely because I live right on the Iowa-Illinois border, so I like to see the differences. So I wrote down in Iowa it was $3.67. So
that's
pretty good. In Illinois is $4.19. Big jump. So
all right.
See that a lot. Illinois seems to always be a lot more expensive for whatever reason. It's a lot more over there. So if you need gas, at least in the Quad Cities, you usually try to
come to
Iowa side.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about how does the state work as far as taxes, income taxes, sales taxes?
Yeah, so I wrote this one down too because I don't like to memorize it. So in Iowa, sales tax is 6%. In Illinois, it's 6.25. So that's the sales tax. Fairly close. Now, property taxes, this is an interesting fact to me. So properties in Iowa is 1.53. Illinois is 2.16. So what we see a lot of times with real estate is a lot of people are trying to get out of Illinois because the taxes are so much higher. Everybody's like, oh, Iowa is so much cheaper. But if you look it up, I think Iowa is like the 11th most expensive, but Illinois is second. So it makes it look a lot better.
It's all a comparison thing, really, when it comes down to it. What you're used to and that kind of stuff. Exactly.
Yep. So
and then state income tax at all?
Yep. So Iowa actually just passed this. I don't know. I think it's for next year. They're going to go to a flat rate, and that's going to be 3.9%. And then Illinois is 4.95% at a flat rate. So
awesome.
Yep. That kind of gives you an idea of that.
Yeah. Well, and one of the benefits of South Dakota to people like South Dakota is there's no sales, there's no income tax, state income tax. So that's real nice. But everything here is sales tax. So 6.5%, 4.5 is the state, and then whatever the city's charges usually ends up being about 6%, no matter where you go usually. And that's taxed on everything from our services to food to groceries to everything. I've heard tales of the hoping to get rid of that grocery tax, but we'll see what happens with that. But that'd be really cool. But and then but property tax is the same thing. We're not terribly inexpensive because we don't have a income tax. We got to get it from somewhere else. So right now they're averaging. Last time I looked at it, it was like 1.3%, 1.2, 1.3. So that's kind of where things are at as far as that is in South Dakota. So
it's kind of crazy to me. Like I said, Iowa around here is like the place to be because our taxes are lower and we're still higher than South Dakota at 1.53.
Right. Yeah. I mean, not a lot. I get
Mhm.
people from a lot of people in the lower Midwest states, to us, that's expensive. But,
Yeah.
in the end of the day, I guess, it is what it is. So,
Yep. Exactly.
all right. So we're the realtors. So, of course, we're going to talk about the housing market. So,
Of course.
what in your area, typical 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot home, or kind of what's your staple kind of cost right now? How are things looking in your part of the world?
Yeah. So the Quad Cities, it's going to be around 215, 220. Obviously, that varies quite a bit from city to city and all that, but you could probably expect that for the most part. In Iowa, in general, actually, is going to be close to that. So,
Yeah, if you get into like smaller town Iowa, is there a considerable price decrease, or is everything kind of the same, or is it considerably less?
yeah, so you do see a price dip when you go into smaller towns, and it's really kind of proximity to bigger
Of course.
cities, like
Yeah.
how far away you are and all that. But if you're getting outside the city, you're probably going to get larger lots. You might get an acreage even, so that's going to increase the price.
Sure.
But for a house, same lot, it's typically going to be cheaper if you're going to be outside the city, just because there's not as much demand for it.
Right. Yeah. That's
So,
pretty ABC. But that's what I was figuring about it. Wasn't quite sure. South Dakota is kind of the same thing. That's what, especially with, in the cities right now in Rapid City, 3-bedroom, 2-bath is going to get you. You're going to be spending at least 250 to get in one of those, and that's probably going to need some work. You're probably better off being about 300 to get in something that's decent. That you're not going to have to spend too much money on, and that's a pretty basic, property in town. You start getting outside of town at all, you start getting anything a little nicer, and the price jumps up
getting the Black
pretty.
Hills, I'm sure it really jacks
Yeah.
up.
If you're looking for land in the hills, you better expect to spend 500 grand probably. You might
And you,
grab something in the 400s, but
yeah,
if you want something nice, it's gonna
it's
get
gonna
up.
cost you for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to get there. Now, you guys have been seeing a lot of influx of relocation coming in, haven't you? I think you got like a new military base or something.
Right. So we do have in Ellsworth Air Force Base, we have a new mission coming in, which
Okay.
hasn't been. I mean, I think the plane is still being built right now. So but we have some personnel that are in kind of establishing the net. What am I trying to say here? Building the new buildings. Doing the structures that need to be built for the new mission. But as soon as that comes, that'll be a number of people. But yeah, then what happened was during the pandemic, of course, a lot of people said, "Hey, screw this being tight in all these corridors. Let's find some space." And South Dakota, the Black Hills, or something that a lot of people really like. So the Black Hills is a really great draw for a lot of people that have moved to our area because hey, there's nature right there, camping, fishing. It's all within an hour's drive, right? So that's been a pretty big draw for a lot of people. But of course the winter and snow has kept some people away. So that's
For sure.
that's okay.
Have you seen a big
don't come.
Have you seen a big price increase because of that since COVID and all that?
We've been up. We're up 30%, 25, 30% over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Typically, we get single digit price appreciations per year, but it's been stupid the past couple of years. Yeah.
How much do you think of that is from people moving in versus just how the market's been so crazy?
Well, with I mean, it's kind of been market crazy, people moving in, and then no inventory, and then so it's kind of been a little bit everything. So for the past couple of years, it's been put your offer on the table right away with escalation clauses up $25,000, and hopefully you'll get it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. No, I get that.
Yeah. So it's been, and that's kind of the way it has been all over the country. So, and a lot of locals were feeling kind of bad because we did have some people come in with cash and no sight unseen. Here's 50 grand, 100 grand over. I want this great property, and boom, there they are. So of course that raises everything up, and so that there's a lot of that has happened, but that's kind of been all over the country too. So.
Yep. No, definitely. Perfect.
So you see anything right now? I have things. I'm sure things have slowed down a lot, but have you seen prices considerably dropping, or just kind of normalizing, or what have you seen over there?
Yeah, so we have seen some stuff going on. I mean, I've talked to some lenders; they're seeing some interest rates up in the 7s just last week. So it's definitely coming. What I tell people here is the good houses are still competitive. and they still will have multiple offers. But the ones that are mediocre to down, below, they're going to sit a little bit longer. And we're starting to see that. We're not seeing every single home having 15 offers, $20,000
just because it's the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is kind of relieving to a lot of the buyers because they don't have to be on it the minute it goes on sale and all of that. So it's got its benefits. I mean, definitely. I mean, sellers may not like it as much, but
there's no way that was sustainable the way it was going.
Exactly.
So it's good to get back to where it is normal. That's what I've been saying, is normalizing back to where it has been, where as a seller, you've got to present your home correctly now. You can't just put it on the market and expect to get it sold. You got to put it up and make sure it's right, or otherwise they're going to pass on it because they can now, especially now.
Yep.
So,
our inventory, when it was so crazy, I think at one time I looked, it was at 0.9 months of inventory, which that means that you're closing all the homes in less than a month. You don't have any inventory if nothing else comes available.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But right now we're sitting at, I think, 1.5 is the last I checked. So it's
still a pretty strong seller's market.
Yep. For sure.
Same thing with us. I do so I go into the MLS and I just hit active residential and click how many. A few months ago, back in the spring, there was 110. Now there's closer to 360, 350, 350, 360. So there's a lot more, but still that's not a lot for our area. I mean, I haven't figured out the actual absorption rate exactly, but still we're still in the seller's market. But there's a lot more opportunity for buyers coming in. Because hey, I've done things like counter offers. I mean, what's that?
I know it's weird. It's a weird concept.
Mr. Richard wants to know if it's as cold as it gets. Buckle up, buddy. Buckle up.
Nice.
So let's get into. By the way, people that were watching, thanks again for watching. If you want to give us a comment of where you're at and any questions for Alex or for me about our areas, we'd be happy to answer them. Until then, Mr. Alex, to give us your top 3 things. What do you love about living in Iowa?
So kind of goes back. I know I complain about summer, but I do enjoy having the 4 seasons. I don't think I could live in a place where it's either all hot all the time or all cold. I don't think I could do that because it really helps progress the year on. You can kind of tell when things are going to change. So I do enjoy that piece of it. The other piece I think is some people might not like it, but I like how it's not overpopulated. So Iowa only has about 3 million people. And I know there's cities that have more than that, and that's the whole state of Iowa.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I like to be able to go out stores. Eastern Iowa is much more populated than Western Iowa, but it's still not crazy. Like the Quad Cities, so it's 4 cities, Iowa and Illinois. It's only about 400,000 people. So it's not a crazy number compared to some of these bigger cities. So I enjoy that piece of it. And I think probably the third thing I like is honestly the people. There's a saying, Iowa nice, and it's true. It's basically anybody you meet is going to be super, super friendly. I just went to Chicago last weekend, and I noticed this because I was walking downtown. Nobody looks up and waves at you or smiles. And I was with my girlfriend. I was like, I'm going to stare at him and try to make him smile at me. So I guess that's just my Iowa coming out.
No, that's me too. I'm the guy that'll say hi to you on the road, on the trail, and say hi back kind of thing. I did the same thing where was I at? Oh, I was in Minneapolis or something, and just kind of I'm walking down, I'm like nobody, or
trying to catch somebody's eye.
There's nothing. I was like, okay, I see how this is. I get it. So we have that same Midwest nice up here, and it's always a nice thing to have. A lot of the people that I've helped move into the area from out of state has said the same thing, that people have been really nice here and always friendly and helping out. And of course there are those that aren't. So you have those that are and those that aren't. But it's kind of been a good thing to have around here. The other thing that I really like about here, of course, is the Black Hills. I've been here since 1990, and I'm still finding new places that I haven't explored in the hills. So there's always some new trail to go on. There's always something new to experience. So it's been a really, really great opportunity to have the Black Hills here, right next door. Let's see. Number three was number three. Oh, then I do enjoy the climate, like you mentioned, not only 4 seasons, but also then having the low humidity. Living in. I remember 14 years living in Tyler, Minnesota, waking up with wet bed sheets and putting on clothes that was wet. Because mom isn't going to turn the AC on all night long. She's going to open the windows no matter what, because that's what you do.
Exactly.
So it was always really humid in the house no matter what. So it's nice being out here and being able to breathe in the air at night, especially. There's nights that it's not been that bad, or it's been pretty humid and we didn't open up the house, but normally we can go open up the house and let in the cool air and it can breathe that air, and it's always been fresh. Except for when there's fires and smoke comes flying over.
Just a few fires, never hurt anybody, right? No, that is a big fact. Like, I don't think you can understand it until you do go from a place like Iowa and then spend the night in a place like South Dakota or Western Nebraska. It is a huge difference, to do that, because we had to run our air conditioners all night because it is so dang hot and it doesn't cool off. So nice. You guys are lucky in that aspect.
Nice. Kev provided a little information here. No income tax at age 55 with their retirement.
I didn't know that.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Well, you're
I'm not quite 55 yet, so I guess I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, thanks, Kev. I appreciate that information. That's good to know.
For sure.
Speaking of kind of retirement scenario, do you know where your state kind of fits in regarding healthcare, et cetera, or where your city fits in?
I actually don't really know. Luckily for me, I don't really have a lot of health problems, so I haven't had to deal with it too much. I don't think it's above average. I don't think it's below average. I think we're kind of right in the middle there. I haven't seen people talk about it that it's super expensive. So I guess if I haven't heard about it, it's probably not terrible.
Probably not, yeah.
We do have one of the best places as far as healthcare goes at Iowa City. They have great facilities there. So a lot of people come in from all over, the nation to go to those hospitals. So it must be pretty good as far as that goes.
Yeah, and that's probably what helps your scenario. So if you look at the cost for versus living calculators, Rapid City is it's above the national average, not a lot above, but above the national average for healthcare. And I think a lot of that is because we've got one hospital, and that's it. Yeah. And they have little clinics everywhere. And, there is a couple of, physicians that own some surgery centers, and there's some medical people as well that are kind of not part of the hospital, but there's no other competition. So obviously you get what you get, and there's no competition. Of course, it drives prices down. So I know the smallest hospital has talked about coming out this way, but that political game probably isn't going to be played very well.
Oh yeah. Well, just in the Quad Cities, we have two major hospital systems. They have multiple locations, and then we have Iowa City, which is another one, and then in Des Moines, I think there's two others, and then in Western Iowa, I think there's even another hospital that's over there. So we have a variety of options, which again, like you said, drives prices down when you have competition around.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So I think you've got to answer this, but here's a question I have. What's the one thing that you hear a lot of people say, well, I thought I was like this. And you're like, no, that's not really the way it is.
You're going to laugh at this one. A lot of times people think that Iowa grows a lot of potatoes. And the reason is they don't know the difference between Iowa and Idaho.
Yeah.
That is one. But I think the biggest one is that Iowa isn't flat as much as people think it is. You do have a lot of flat areas, but it is, hilly, and especially Western Iowa, you get hills. If you ever get a chance, look up Loess Hills. It's Loess. The way they put the roads through is the dirt is actually vertical because it doesn't erode as fast if it's cut through vertically, because the hills are so tall and all that. So I think that's probably the biggest one, is that it's not as flat as people might think it is.
I saw this picture on Facebook of Iowa, and I thought it was like, I don't know if you can you can see that.
Oh yeah.
The rainbow with the cornfield. I was like, that's classic awesome. Iowa right there.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I like that.
It's kind of the same thing with South Dakota. I think a lot of people are like, what's in South Dakota? There's nothing. It's just cold and blizzardy and flat, right? And like, and a lot of people driving through our state have been like, you guys really have a beautiful state. It's just you have to realize that there's different things to appreciate. You know, sometimes when you're going down the road and there's not much going on, it's like, well, but you know, there's plenty of hills. And then as you get into the west side, there's not a lot of people north of Newell, between northwest. I mean, there's not a lot of people there. You can drive from Newell, South Dakota, to get up to like Hettinger, North Dakota. And if you pass 10 cars, you'll be lucky. I mean, that, you know, there's not a lot of people up there, but it's got its own beauty, especially like right in June when all the grasses are coming up. It's just amazing, you know. And then October or September, October, when the sunflowers start coming up, and you got fields of sunflowers, just lots of different beauty all over the state. It's just you have to understand and appreciate all those different areas and different parts of the state. So
yeah, absolutely. So.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we can wrap her up. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks, Alex, for coming along. I appreciate your insightful information. Had a good time.
I did. It was great. Awesome. Glad we got to do this, and hopefully maybe we'll do something in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll put both of our informations in the descriptions below. So if you have any other Iowa questions, go ahead and give Alex a call. Until then, take care, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll talk later. See you guys.
See you later.